jump in here real quick. Do this one together at the last minute. I was made aware of by NIL Commish that there may be some slight trouble in paradise for the Oklahoma Sooners in that maybe there's some issues with some gambling going on, maybe some kind of gambling scandal connected to John Mateer, who is now the quarterback at Oklahoma, when he was, in fact, at Washington State. Now, I may bring in a few people in here in just a few seconds and get their input on it, some Oklahoma people, to let us know what they think. Maybe Killer Breeze will come in. I'm not sure yet. Let's see what we got here. All right, let's go ahead and bring up the article from the Seattle Times. And I got a few people in here. Johnny Fairlane's in the house. He says it's much to do about nothing, I hear. Richard Burton says, want a bet? Nice choice of words, Richard. Nice choice of words. Fred Bag says, I heard it's a nothing burger. I certainly hope so, because this is the last thing, very last thing, that Oklahoma needs right now, especially Brent Venables, for his quarterback that he's invested so much time in to get caught up in somewhat of a gambling scandal. I got an article from the Seattle Times that I'm going to bring up in just a second. Kenneth Qualls says the same thing. Nothing burger. Kevron Harris is in the house. Good evening, Outlaw. He is our resident Clemsonite. It's not one thing, it's another. That's right. So let's go ahead and bring that article up for you guys and gals right now. See what we got here and see what y'all think about it. See if y'all think it's a big nothing burger like Fred Bagley and Kenneth Qualls alluded to. Or is there something maybe here that's not so kosher? Maybe there's some bad optics here, as NIL Commish alluded to in our conversation offline. See if y'all can see that real quick. All right. Former Washington State quarterback John Mateer denies sports betting accusations. This coming from the Seattle Times. Former Washington State quarterback John Mateer, now at Oklahoma, refuted allegations that he was involved in sports gambling in a statement on Tuesday morning. A post on the social media platform X Monday night showed what appeared to be a screenshot of two payments from Mateer's Venmo account described as sports gambling to a Richard Roten in November 2022. Mateer was a freshman at Washington State. Mateer responded and said the allegations that I once participated in sports gambling are false. My previous Venmo descriptions did not accurately portray the transactions in question, but were instead inside jokes between me and my friends. I have never bet on sports. I understand the seriousness of the matter, but recognize that, taken out of context, those Venmo descriptions suggest otherwise. I can assure my teammates, coaches, and officials at the NCAA that I have not engaged in any sports gambling. He also posted this on X, as you can see, refuting the allegations. This was Oklahoma's release statement. It says, OU Athletics provides ongoing education to its student athletes and coaches on the matters related to sports gambling. The department utilizes ProBet, which is an industry standard service offering comprehensive monitoring of sports gambling activities. So OU has something in place to monitor that kind of stuff. So you think they would have seen this ahead of time, which makes me think that maybe this is indeed a nothing burger, as Fred Bagley and Kenneth Qualls alluded to. OU takes any allegations of gambling seriously and works closely with NCAA in any situations of concern. It goes on down here to say OU Athletics is unaware of any NCAA investigation and has no reason to believe there is one pending. So, with that being said, what makes me feel better about it, and hopefully me feeling better about it means that it's just a misunderstanding and something that was maybe like a prank or someone just kidding around, a play on words, when a friend maybe sent some money from a Venmo account to John Mateer, just horsing around. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's That's a real funny way to word something and to horse around. As John Mateer alluded to, he said it was actually just a joke, an inside joke. I just don't understand the inside joke, I guess. Of course, that's why it's called an inside joke, right? It's called an inside joke because it's not really for other people to understand, just those that are making the joke, I guess. Sounds like some Bush League photoshopping, says Killer Breeze. I haven't seen any photoshopping images. I haven't seen none of that. The only thing I've seen was this article. I haven't had time to really delve into it and investigate exactly what's went on. Obviously, you're saying there were some photos leaked that maybe there was some Bush League photoshopping going on. Once someone gets in a position that they're in, like John Mateer, you have a lot of people also that maybe they get it in for them, they get a little jealous, and they do some stuff like Killer Breeze is talking about, and they Photoshop stuff. But what from Mateer is saying, Killer Breeze, is that it was, I guess, some Venmo transactions, but for some reason, in a kidding manner, they called it sports betting. Why they would do that, I don't know. It might be an inside joke, but if it gets leaked out, man, people are going to look at it, and it's going to be bad optics. And some people are just going to run with it and make accusations and basically try to cause friction and turmoil for the Oklahoma Sooners, especially the rivals. And I'm sure people at Texas and other SEC schools wouldn't mind seeing Oklahoma and Mateer experience some kind of turmoil or experience some kind of friction or situations within the program to maybe derail Oklahoma's ascent back to the top. Not a lot, Killer, working way too much. Why did he sign sports gambling then? Nothing will be done no matter what. That's a good question, Judy Walker. That's my question is, yeah, you might be kidding around. It might be an inside joke, but why would you kid around about something like that? Why? I mean, and even Mateer says it's an inside joke. So it obviously happened. Obviously something happened. Some money transpired, or there was a transaction of some money from a Venmo account to John Mateer's for some reason. It might have not actually been for sports betting. It might have been the person sending it, like he said, was just just aggravating him, or like an inside joke kind of deal. But the thing is, at this point, Mateer is going to have to let everybody in on the inside joke. He's going to have to make us understand why it's an inside joke, because if you don't, with today's social media, people are just going to take this crap and run with it, and they're going to blow it out of proportion if you just don't go ahead and explain it completely in detail. The vagueness of it being an inside joke may present some problems. He may need to elaborate on exactly why that would be an inside joke between him and his friends. Yeah, I know privacy is a thing that people like to have, but when you get in a position that Mateer is in, a high-profile position at a blue blood program as the quarterback of Oklahoma, sometimes your privacy doesn't count as much as other people's, because people are going to want to know. And if they don't know, they're going to make up their own conclusion. And hell, the NCAA themselves is bad about making their own conclusions. So he might need to explain why this inside joke was an inside joke. So I don't know, does anybody want to come in here and maybe give a big, broader explanation of what went down? Maybe Killer Breeze, maybe you can come in here and elaborate on the situation. If I send you a link to the program here, I'll send one out right now to a few people. And maybe we can get some Oklahoma people in here. I'm an Alabama guy, but I do like Oklahoma as well. The two Crimson Nations, I'm famous for both. Oklahoma is my second favorite team. I'm not going to lie, but just to get an insider's perspective, I might send out a couple of links here And meanwhile, y'all let me know in the comment section why you think Mateer's friend would send something like that as an inside joke. All right. I just sent a few invites out. We'll see if anybody wants to pop up in here. If not, I'm going to make this a short show tonight unless y'all have some more topics you want to discuss, or maybe you want to add to this and maybe explain a little better and put to rest the fears of many Oklahoma fans, as I'm sure this is the last thing that they need to happen. Michael McCullough says, I don't know who learned to have let them in on, but I'm sure it's going to have to be the coach, NCAA, SEC, and everybody else as far as letting you know. I don't think he has to do that. Well, I guess I will have to agree to disagree, because I think Michael, in today's social media platforms and the way things are nowadays, if you don't explain what the inside joke was, people are going to make their own determination of what they think the inside joke was, or whether they think it was ever an inside joke. And maybe John Mateer just got caught up and maybe he's telling a lie, is what some of the devil's advocate people out there will do. People that don't like Oklahoma will take this and run with it. So, I mean, even if it's not true, it's probably best that he explain exactly in complete detail why this is considered an inside joke. Right now, we don't understand. All we know is what he says. And what he says is an inside joke. But what's the inside joke? Why would you send money to your buddy John Mateer, knowing that he's in a pretty high profile position? Why would you send money to a friend knowing that he's in that position that sports betting could get him in a lot of trouble? Why would you do that? That's my question. Why would the friend do that? Texas is pissed because we stole a 5-star from them today, says Storm 4601. Yeah, exactly. Programs like Texas, nobody's above it. Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma, Michigan, Ohio State, USC, Skittle Shitters, all of them have nefarious boosters, my team, your team included, that will take something like this and make it into something that it ain't and try to cause problems. My gun sweetness says it's nothing. How will you prove it? Well, there's a screenshot. I just brought up an article from the Seattle Times that basically shows a transaction taking place from Venmo to John Mateer from one of his buddies. I think it was 2 transactions that were described as sports betting. John Ritchie's in the house. What's going on, John Ritchie? David Orwig's also here. See how this crap comes up just before the season starts? It's got to be BS. Exactly. So in order to put this BS to rest, David, my opinion, while he does deserve privacy and people do deserve to have inside jokes, it's probably not the best thing in the world to do an inside joke on an open platform like Venmo, where people can screenshot stuff. And if your friends get mad at you, the friend, my question is, the friend that sent him the money, why would his friend screenshot that? Unless you're really not his friend, and maybe you have some jealousy going on, the fact that he has moved on from Washington State and moved on to bigger and greener pastures with Oklahoma and the SEC. Why would this leak out? The only way this leaks out is either John Mateer shows it to somebody, or the guy who sent John Mateer the money and made the little funny hee haw inside joke of putting sports betting on it. The friend that sent him the money and described it as that, he would be the only other person that could leak it out, because it's a transaction between 2 parties that nobody else sees but those 2 parties. So the friend had to leak it out, in my opinion. If I'm John Mateer, I don't consider that person a friend anymore. That's not cool. They take sports betting very seriously, even if you're playing about it and it's an inside joke. They might say now, as it said in the article, that no NCAA investigation, the Oklahoma Athletic Administration said there's no NCAA investigation pending yet. Just because they say that there's no investigation pending doesn't mean the NCAA and their crookedness won't later on decide to take this up and decide exactly why this is an inside joke. But let's go ahead and bring Killer Breeze in the house and get his take on it from the Oklahoma perspective. How's it going, brother? I wasn't going to get on here and not do none of this stuff, but I just popped in here at the last minute because NIL Commish told me about it. And I don't know, man, it's the last thing you want to hear right before the season.
Well, it wouldn't be Oklahoma football if we didn't have some kind of nonsense happen right before the beginning of the season. Last year it was injuries that kept on throughout the rest of the year. And while there's been a little bit of that this year too, not a ton, and probably about what you would expect, but still, with everybody being so freaked out from last year, any little injury makes us nervous. But no, you can add in a little drama, with John Mateer, the guy who's kind of perceived as a straight arrow, is in a gambling scandal. Now the first thing is, because to me this makes a difference. I'd be real disappointed if he had done that after he had become the starting quarterback at Oklahoma, because he's got a much bigger platform now, playing in the SEC, playing for a blue blood. He's got a much bigger platform. His exposure is a lot higher. And had he done something like that while at Oklahoma, I'd be a lot more disappointed. But he did it, when he was early on. I think it was his freshman year or his redshirt freshman year at Washington State. He says it wasn't gambling. I'm going to take him at his word and see what the explanation is. Oklahoma's looking into it. They have to now. They're doing this self-investigation, and we'll see what they come up with. But you can bet let this be a lesson to everyone. I don't use Venmo. But one of the things, I did use it for a brief period of time. One of the things I never understood was why people had their transactions public. You get on Venmo, and all of a sudden you can just see everyone that talking about who they're sending money to and why they're sending it. And I never understood that, because all you got to do is click a button that says, "Don't show my transactions."
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I think they might do it on Cash App too. And Johnny Fairlane says, I read today that Venmo is public. And yeah, so that probably explains why the shit got screenshotted and sent out. Because I was thinking, obviously you think to yourself, man, if you're giving money to another person, the only two people that's going to see it is the two people. But from what people are saying, Venmo is like telling everybody, hey, look at what JPC bought from Killer Breeze. He just bought a dildo. He bought a green dildo. He's got a green dildo on the court today at the WNBA game.
It doesn't have to be that, though. That's my point. You don't have to keep your transactions. It defaults when you open a Venmo account. It starts off with them public. But all you got to do is turn it off. Every once in a while, I'm forced to use Venmo because somebody that I'm trying to do business with uses it.
Right. I do.
And so you can't ever see mine. You don't see what I'm spending my money on. And I can promise you it's a lot worse than gambling. So,
green dildos.
Nobody knows who that is yet.
That's right.
But, man, I think, first of all, to me, I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often with college kids and gambling. Now that it's legal, it's first of all, it's a little bit, if they're not betting on their own team, and even then, I honestly, as someone who was, I was a bookie in college, and back when it was illegal as hell, and I mean, man, at the end of the day, I never had a problem with people betting on their own teams if they're betting to win. I just don't understand the problem with that. Like that all that does is tell me they're going to try that much harder, But if they're betting on their own team to lose, then absolutely, I have a problem with that.
And there should be some kind of gray area to allow the athletes to gamble. If they're not gambling on their own team, I don't see why there should be a problem.
They shouldn't allow them to bet with a point spread, because even if they're betting on their team to win with a point spread, they can affect the game. But I have no problem with an athlete that plays for the Saints. If he's betting on the money line for the Saints to win, I don't see a problem with that, because he's trying to,
Well, I'm just saying to just get rid of any kind of, friction or something that people might try to accuse you of, cheating. Why don't you just say that you can gamble, but you just can't gamble on your own team? But they don't do that.
Yeah, I think
they don't want to gamble on anything. They don't want to gamble on freaking polo. So
I know it's kind of ridiculous, man. To me, I mean, again, we're advertising on the radio waves and TV and the internet all over the place for people. So I got my nephew who's in high school is an avid sports bet gambler. It's crazy. So they push this shit on kids everywhere. And then they want to, try to make an example out of John Mateer because you're trying to uphold some kind of BS image that you guys are about something more than money. It's all about money. So if college kids want to bet on other teams that that they're not a part of, I have no problem with that. And again, if they want to bet on their own team to win with no spread, I got no problem with that either. We live in a gambling society now. Everywhere you turn, man, gambling in some form or fashion is being pushed, whether it's the scratch offs at the gas station or the lottery or the Powerball or whatever you play. There's gambling all around. And it's a little hypocritical to hold these athletes to some of the standards they're held to.
Johnny Fairlane says if you have it set to private, how can anyone screenshot it? Well, we don't know they said it set to private. Obviously, they didn't.
Yeah, I don't think they did. I think that's what I'm saying. Let it be a lesson to you right now. If you use Venmo, go turn off the transactions so that everyone can't see what the hell you're spending your money on, who you're sending it to, and why you're sending it. Or
my question is,
patch Venmo all together and just go use Zelle, where it's direct from account to account, no fees, no public transactions, none of that nonsense.
My question to the friend that sent him the money: why would you describe it like that? Why would you describe it?
That's now again, man. Look. All I can tell you is what I know about what I was like when I was in college. Me and my friends were some of the biggest dumbasses on the planet. The things that we thought we would get away with. I mean. Just looking back on it, it's a miracle that we didn't end up dead or in jail or if not both, not in that order. We did dumb shit like that all the time. And it would be something just like me when I was in college to do something in public like that, where it might go, try to be slick about it to where you're making some kind of a joke to where, most of the public's not going to get it. And then, next thing you know, 3 years later, it's coming back to haunt you.
Well, I understand the whole inside joke thing. It's privacy between you and your friends. But when you're in a position as John Mateer is,
you don't get that.
And it's unfair. I know it's unfair, but you're just going to have to live with it with the kind of fame and the money you're making.
Is it really unfair? That's what I was just about to say. Look at the trade-off, dude. I mean, look at the money that these guys make now. I mean, if I had it to do all over again, I would have gone into coaching for the same reason. The money that's in these is just ridiculous. So if you got to give up a little bit of privacy because we're paying you millions of dollars to play football, I don't feel that bad for you.
Right. If it was just me or you doing it, and we said, it's an inside joke, and we don't have to tell you anything. We don't have to explain ourselves.
100%.
Me and you, that's fine. It's not going to affect a billion-dollar industry.
That's right.
But this is going to affect a lot of things. And the NCAA, they're sort of really they're not really good at how they handle things sometimes. And sometimes they'll just take something and run with it when there's nothing there, and they'll still punish you for no reason. So for John Mateer to say it's an inside joke and we're going to leave it at that, he's not going to be able to do that. He's probably going to have to explain why it's an inside joke.
He absolutely has to explain what he's doing because Oklahoma's looking into it now. So he's going to have to. He's not only going to have to explain it, he's going to have to explain it with receipts. Because they just can't even afford a hint of impropriety. Now, here's the thing. See, that's another thing that I heard. Screw Off just says it was a Texas fan that posted this. Like, that's the other thing that makes me doubt the veracity of the issue in the first place. If it's coming from a Texas website, do we really think that there's not a high probability that this is pure bullshit? I mean, truly.
Is it just that Texas don't want to have to play Oklahoma with an actual quarterback? I don't understand why. I mean, I thought Texas was back, man. I mean, what are they so worried about Oklahoma for?
They know what's up. They know what's up. They know who Daddy is.
I mean,
you can talk all you want, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the record. And the record going all the way back to World War II has been straight dominance with a few years here and there of no dominance.
But look, they went to the playoffs the last couple of years. They went to the SEC title game.
Listen,
and everything. So why are they so worried about Oklahoma? I don't understand.
Well, again, you get conditioned to such an extent after years and years of the same results. Look, at the end of the day, I want Texas to be a perennial national champion contender. It makes Oklahoma better. Some of the best Oklahoma teams that they've had in the last 25 years came when Texas was a legitimate threat to beat them, and win a national championship. So I want them to be good, but I don't want them to get used to it because they ain't going to be for that long. I can promise you that.
You know what? Even in Oklahoma's sort of mediocre state, they've had 2 6-7 seasons, right? Texas still have more than a 2-year streak on y'all. They've only beat y'all 2 years in a row. Now they would be dominating y'all, right? About 5-6 years in a row.
Dude, go look back. Go again. Pick any number of years. Go back 25 years. Go back 30 years. Go back 40 years. Go back 50 years. That's what you will mainly see. I mean, that's just what it is, dude. That's just what it is. So, listen, got to give them credit because I honestly didn't think that they could pull off what they've pulled off so far in the SEC. I thought for sure they were going to be, relegated to the same mediocrity that they were largely in the Big 12. So, congrats to them. Again, pushing us to be better. The better Texas does, the more Oklahoma fans and boosters are pissed off and want them to win, which just means more money and more resources for the team.
Well, look at the timing for Texas, too, man. Oklahoma went through all the shit they went through with Lincoln Riley, stuff that don't usually happen when a coach leaves. There's a lot of extenuating circumstances I can't begin to start talking about, so it'll take me forever. And then on top of that, Nick Saban retires at Alabama, and the SEC, to me, is not quite as tough as it was a few years back. So, and then they give Texas a pretty easy schedule with Kentucky and Vanderbilt and Mississippi State on their schedule. So everything, there's been a perfect storm for Texas in their move to the SEC, while Oklahoma's had to deal with a lot of turmoil and BS.
But, I mean, listen, give credit where credit is due. Sarkisian is a good coach. He went to Texas, a few years back. He took his lumps early on. They weren't great right away.
That's right.
And he has progressively gotten them a little bit better every year. We'll see if they can finally get over the hump and push it, because this is where they typically don't.
Texas got a coach from the Saban car wash, which usually works out pretty good for teams.
Man, there you go. So
look at Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin.
I think, man, it stands to reason that unless Sark gets wooed by the NFL, Texas is probably in pretty good shape and gonna be pretty good for a while, or at least until Sark's ready to go. They will, and again, that just makes the probability that Oklahoma will be better that much higher, because when Texas is better, so are we. I guarantee you, the push to get better in the SEC wouldn't be nearly as hard if Texas came in and was doing as bad as we were or worse. there wouldn't be the same sense of urgency. I guarantee it. So
John Ritchie says they're worried that the team is going to be bad this year, and the only way they can win is if for Oklahoma not to have a quarterback or a good team. And that sort of made me think of something. Even though Arch Manning has the Manning name, he only really started 2 games that were really insignificant. One was UTSA, and I think the other was Kentucky, maybe. So actually, John Mateer has more experience as a quarterback. Plus, he has his offensive coordinator coming with him. So Oklahoma actually has more experience at quarterback than Texas.
This is Mateer's 3rd year with Arbuckle. Man, that's a big deal, you know. So yeah, it sets up, man, you know, and the word from camp so far has been that the wide receivers look good, you know. They got a couple of really good. It sounds like the transfer we got from Arkansas is showing out at practice every single day. Deion Burks, who was a NFL caliber, you know, player when he tries, sounds like he's been making some incredible catches at practice as well. So the wide receivers look good. The offensive line apparently is showing much improvement. The defensive line is showing out. I mean, man, it sounds, the word out of camp so far is pretty damn good. So we'll see how it goes, you know.
Like Kilbree said in the comment section, please smash the like button for us. Also, if you want to get your comment read out and pushed up above everybody else's, you can hit the little money dollar sign at the bottom, write your comment out, and then hit send. And your highlight will be commented, and we'll read your comment above everybody else's.
I do think it's funny that again, Oklahoma gets a little bit of drama right before the season starts. This is every year. This is just like with Cale Gundy. It's just every year, man. We've got some kind of major problems right before the season starts. Sounds like we're making good progress, and then something happens to knock us back.
I made a little video today about college football royalty. I did a re-ranking. I dropped Notre Dame down to number 5, moved Oklahoma up to number 2, and it was just basically explaining to them why the 2 Crimson Nations will, in fact, continue to dominate for this foreseeable future, regardless of who the head coach is. I mean, Alabama and Oklahoma together have over 25 national titles, and they just sounds like some people are getting a little worried, man. They're a little scared, you know.
I mean, man, you know, particularly since the secondary sounds like they've got a good rotation of about 5 guys that they're running through at practice that are playing well. With one of their starters that it's not even, you know, practicing right now because he's dinged up with a hamstring. I think it's a hamstring. Anyway, you know, man, it sounds like, you know, they really do have a chance of being really good. And I mean, and again, everybody, you know, most of the predictions that I see a lot of people predicting Oklahoma and Texas coming into the Red River shootout as both undefeated, and Oklahoma leaving with a loss. I've seen a lot of that. But, man, when you look at Texas's schedule, in their first 5 games, they play Ohio State and Florida. Now, I'm a little worried about Florida because, from what I understand, Lagway has already been injured and not been able to practice a lot. It sounds like that guy is always injured, and I don't know how good they are with Lagway's backup. But you know damn good and well, and they are in Vegas. They are the underdog. They could very easily lose to Ohio State, and if they lose to Ohio State, and if Arch Manning particularly has a bad game, and then they go to the Swamp because I'm pretty sure they play him in Florida, don't they?
That's right.
So,
not 2 easy places to play for a quarterback with not much experience.
That's what I'm saying. And what if the way that they lost to Ohio State was you know, Arch throws a pick 6 at the end of the game or something, you know, where he's a little beat up mentally and goes into the Swamp. I'm pretty sure they play on the road.
I would hate that for him, man. That would hurt my feelings if that happened. David Orwig is talking about 2 clowns from Oklahoma, YT, whatever YT means, who ratted out Art Briles and his son is behind this in any way.
He's talking about Parker Thune and Brandon Drum. No, Brandon. Yeah, I think it's Drum. Help me out.
So are those guys supposedly? I thought they were Oklahoma Sooner guys. Why would they do that?
Well, I think he was trying to break news, and he was the one that posted it up on Twitter. You know, took a picture of Art Briles and said, "Hey, it's Art Briles in the stands."
He wasn't supposed to be there. That's right.
Yeah, and then it just blew up from there. Which really did.
Might have a little,
problems.
Might have a little inside job going on. Maybe a little angst amongst Oklahoma media, hating on each other, trying to get the drop on each other.
A little bit. We did just get a 5-star. We got a 5-star defensive end today out of IMG.
Sound like a burnt marshmallow or something.
Oh man, you know I haven't heard shit out of the marshmallow since the incident.
He disappears for a little while. He'll get that gumption up again and eventually come on my podcast and mess with me like he always does. My Gun Sweetness says the SEC is afraid of Oklahoma. Toughest schedule in all of college football. Texas Girl Scout schedule. That's true. I think the people would say, well, Vanderbilt was good last year, but they didn't know Vanderbilt was going to be good when they give Texas Vanderbilt. So I don't want to hear that shit.
No.
Because when I saw Vanderbilt and Alabama schedule, I was like, yes, right after Georgia too. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And then, pow.
Yeah, that was an unexpected turn of events.
Screw-Off says people don't realize that Oklahoma led 9 games last year at halftime. And a lot of those games, y'all didn't really get blowed out in, did you?
No, they weren't. I think the only blowouts were Texas and LSU got a little out of hand in the second half. We were winning at halftime, if I remember correctly. I think LSU got a little out of hand in the second half. That might. Oh, and the South Carolina game was a blowout early. We were down. I think after the first 9 minutes, maybe it wasn't even the first 9 minutes. It might have been something crazy like after the first 5 minutes of the game, we were down 21-0, and it never got a lot better.
Nate Robinson said this is mature gate.
That's fair.
That's what.
I'll say this. As much faith as I'm putting in Mateer that I'm gonna believe the kid. I hope he's not stupid enough to come out and blatantly lie and say it that you outright deny it if there's any truth to it whatsoever. I hope he's not that stupid. I'm gonna be real disappointed if I find out that he tried to pull that off.
You would hope, but you see stupidity all the time.
Absolutely.
Brian Kelly's a good example of that.
Absolutely. It's very possible that he's lying. That's possible. But again, I'm going to believe him. But, dude, if he is lying, he is going to get hammered. He is going to get hammered, man. I mean,
he's not going to just get hammered, man. It's going to affect the whole team, the whole Oklahoma Center team, in my opinion.
It will absolutely affect the team. Now, the one thing that I will say is Michael Hawkins apparently has been, he's the prototype player for what Arbuckle likes, a guy that can throw and run. And sounds like he's been having a hell of a camp also. So it's not ideal, but at least it's better than what we've had, in a few years past where our quarterback depth was just atrocious. But yeah, if Mateer comes out to be true and Mateer misses any time or God forbid gets suspended, this is a train wreck.
You said something in the comments about you saw the screenshot and you thought it might be photoshopped. But if it was photoshopped, you think Mateer would have said that. Instead, he said it was an inside joke between him and friends. So it obviously did come from his friend.
Yeah, I agree. I that's something I had heard that, and it sounded plausible to me because, again, it was coming from public transaction records from Venmo. I mean, if that's not a site. I mean, if that's not a fertile ground to be photoshopping, I don't know what is. But if he's outright saying that, the comments he's making, lend credibility to the fact that what was on Venmo was legit, and he needs to explain why it's not what it looks like.
Yeah. Maybe basically he's saying it was an inside joke. And I'm just thinking, that would probably work. Like we said earlier, it was just two common Joes, but the position he's in, he's probably going to have to explain a little bit more.
Yeah.
At least behind closed doors to the NCAA. He may not have to explain it to us, but he'll probably have to do some explaining to the NCAA.
For sure. 100%. There's no doubt about it. He doesn't get the benefit of that. He's gotta prove it.
My gun sweetness says the SEC doesn't want to see Hawkins with an offensive line. You brought up Hawkins twice now. You just assuming that John Mateer is not going to be the starter for some reason? I mean, I guess you're saying maybe if Mateer is not the starter, that Hawkins is going to be interchangeable. I don't know if I agree with that because I
don't think interchangeable is not the right word, but someone who apparently is flourishing under Arbuckle's scheme in fall camp. That's the word, that Michael Hawkins has done some very impressive things almost on Mateer's level. But no, there's no way it's an equal. If you had to play Hawkins over Mateer at any point, that's not obviously a step down, because just the familiarity that Mateer and Arbuckle have alone, there's no way Michael Hawkins has anything close to that this year, whether he's suited for his system or not.
John Ritchie says it wasn't just his friend, but a roommate that he sent the money, that got the money sent to him.
Yeah. I mean, you never know, dude. Like I said, me and my friends were a bunch of jackasses when we were, in college at LSU. So we could have done dumb shit like this all the time. It's a miracle there's no social media when I was in college. I don't know what I mean.
What if it was just a harmless bet? What if it was just a harmless bet amongst friends? Like say me and you were at work and I was like, man, I'll bet you a Domino's pizza that Alabama's going to whoop Oklahoma's ass.
Yeah, well,
we're two players at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, but the unfortunate thing is it's against the rules. So
will they still hold that though? Would they hold some kind of little friendly bet? That not on a bet?
No, well, based on the NCAA's, based on their history, yeah, they would do something like that.
I just wanted you to say yeah because I need the answer to that, but it's just amazing how stupid the NCAA is. Man.
Oh yeah,
they just need to do away with that, man. They need to do away with the NCAA. I said this 1,000 times already.
Well, that's the thing that would worry me in a situation like this. You know how it's been, man. Over the last 4 or 5 years, everyone that has an opinion all says the same thing, that the NCAA has no teeth anymore. The NCAA has no balls anymore. They can't enforce anything. So, human nature is what human nature is. You can't convince me that they wouldn't take an opportunity like this where they could say technically this was against the rules, so we have every right to fully exercise every bit of power that we have in this situation, and I think they would do it. They've done that in the past. They would do it again. I mean, they screwed Oklahoma over in 1989.
It seems especially with teams that are in the southern part of the United States, they seem to have an axe to grind. Oklahoma to me is so southwest. I mean, they're in the south. To me, I consider Oklahoma south.
Yeah.
And just like Alabama, they did the same shit to us. They punished us for some shit, and we didn't even have lack of institutional control. And they give Kentucky and California a slap on the wrist. Meanwhile, they slammed us.
Yeah. But it always goes like that, dude. They always come after the big dogs, You go back and look at history and look at the programs that they've come after. It's just like Miami, Oklahoma, Alabama, USC. It's the The Ohio State, same thing. I mean, but I bet you those are just, anytime something happens with those schools because of who they are, those are just big stories. I would bet you the dumbass NCAA has been doing this to every school they could over their lifetime again, because they just always seemed power hungry. They always seemed like they would exercise the full extent of their power any chance they could. Why would this be any different?
Well, back in the 80s, Bear Bryant in Alabama and a bunch of other schools, Georgia, particularly, I think it was Georgia, and some other schools took the NCAA to court because they used to didn't want you on TV more than twice or three times a year. And a bunch of schools got together and formed the CFA for a short period of time, and the NCAA relented and started letting them, the conferences do their own little TV deals and whatnot. Because they used to control everything, man. They wouldn't let you be on TV more than 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah. Well, Oklahoma had a famous lawsuit against the NCAA and won. I mean, you can blame a lot of the conference issues and everything coming from, Oklahoma's lawsuit right around the same time. I think it was a little bit. I think it actually might have been right around the same time.
Yeah. I mean, because Bear Bryant, he actually was pretty famous for giving ESPN some of their first football games. And then ESPN turns around and, sticks it to Alabama and they get the chance. So that's just the way ESPN is, man. I wish that our conference wasn't involved with ESPN, but we are. So
yeah. Dude, did you see the big deal with the UFC, what they just signed?
The Paramount.
That's amazing, dude. They're going away from pay-per-view events. All of their events now, all of the UFC, they're on 319 this weekend. That event is going to be free in the future. You're going to be able to watch it on the Paramount network for free.
Well, unless you don't have Paramount, you have to pay.
Well, you got to have Paramount, but dude, that's $10 a month.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I got Paramount. So it's like you said, ain't but $10 a month. So
to watch if you wanted to pay for a UFC event this weekend to watch 319, it'd be $70.
That's crazy. Some of that shit's like $100.
Yeah, dude, it's that's what I'm saying. Like, so to be able to pay $10 a month and you're gonna get all the UFC programming, you're gonna get all the fight nights, everything.
I think they sort of took the lead from the WWE. The WWE don't do pay-per-views anymore. They put all their what they call them premium live events now. They put them all on Peacock and on Netflix.
Yeah.
Now ESPN has the rights to that, and they said ESPN's going to start trying to charge people $30 for the WWE shit or some shit. I don't know what you're talking about, but I won't be watching wrestling anymore. I'm not paying another $30, man, just to watch one thing. I ain't doing that shit.
By the way, that lawsuit I was talking about was against the AAA over their control over college football television contracts. The Supreme Court ultimately sided with OU, ruling that the NCAA's restrictions on television appearances and revenue sharing violated antitrust laws.
That's what I was talking about. See, right here with Storm 4601 says the lawsuit was Oklahoma and Georgia, and they both ended up on probation. See, that's what happened. See, in Alabama, the same thing with Bear Bryant. He's shaking the tree trying to get them to do ESPN and have more television, and they just got pissed off at the South in general and started targeting teams in the South and putting them on probation. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting, man.
Bear Bryant was talking about a playoff back in the 80s.
Well, it's the logical conclusion. It's the only sport that didn't settle its champion on the field in some kind of a playoff format. There was no other sport, any significant sport, that did that. So you had to get to that point eventually. And I mean, man, I think it's obvious of where it's headed even beyond the playoff. The Big Ten and the SEC are gonna they'll probably keep their individual branding to some degree. It'll be like the AFL and the NFL. But I would imagine that they're gonna make the one super conference, which is gonna essentially replace Division I. and then you're going to have your Division II is going to be your former bottom half of the, what didn't make the Super Conference. I think that's inevitable.
You know what the biggest flop of a network or a money grab was, in my opinion? The biggest flop.
Say that again.
The biggest flop at a money grab and having a network. You know what the biggest flop was to me?
What's that?
The Longhorn Network. And I ain't saying that to troll, but that shit. As soon as I seen it, man, I'm like, you're in a conference. How can you get away with it? You're supposed to share that revenue with everybody.
That's a fact. Well, that's why I tried to tell you that you would see once Texas came to it's going to continue in the SEC. They always get their special treatment. And that was the Big 12's blowjob to Texas, was giving them the Longhorn Network, which again was ultimately kind of a failure.
That was the undoing of all of it. But we thought, coming over to the SEC, they wouldn't have that kind of swagger, but they may not be getting their own TV, and they may not be getting unequal revenue sharing, but it looks like on the slide they were given an easy schedule. I mean, I hate to keep harping on that, man, but I'm just saying.
But that's what's going to keep happening, though. Oh, it's not just that. They put SEC events in Dallas already. Do you think that's not because of Texas? You get the fuck out of here. That's exactly what that is.
They said it's because of Oklahoma too.
That's what I'm saying, is that you'll start to see that it's a bunch of little stuff. It's not always just everything so blatant. It's just a whole bunch of little things like, oh, we'll go ahead and give Texas the easiest schedule possible their first couple of years in the SEC. There you go, Texas. I was shocked. I was very happy, but I was shocked that the SEC actually still kept the horns down thing as legal to do. I thought for sure that was about to become illegal.
But it was there for a little bit. They were thinking about rolling over for Texas on that, because I was pissed about that shit. I done a video on it, man. I was like, man, Greg Sankey, you need to have your ass fired, man. And we let them come in here and dictate shit, man.
I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen anyway. You know what I mean? Like eventually, because again, so far, it seems like to me what the SEC has done so far has been like, look, we can't just completely kiss Texas's ass but we're gonna do a whole bunch of stuff for y'all, and don't worry, as time goes on, it'll be clear who we love the most.
Well,
that's what I expect to see.
They're having those events in Dallas, but Texas tries to play it off like, well, Oklahoma's. They got a big contingent in Dallas, and they do.
We do.
It's still the state of Texas.
100%.
And it's on the very far side of the conference, so it's not really in the middle, as to be fair to everybody else. Birmingham was sort of in the middle of everything. It's sort of right there. So I'm not saying that because they're in my state, but geographically speaking, the city of Birmingham or Nashville would probably be the best spot to have that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nashville would be pretty great. Although Nashville's getting kind of cheesy because, just like everything, nothing lasts forever. It's becoming so commercial now in Nashville. It kind of sucks too now.
Judy Walker says Mature made his Venmo private after they showed the two teams that he had in his bet. He sent money to a friend and gave a name that he was going back and forth with.
I mean, again, I still, it doesn't really mean anything unless we know what you got to explain what it means. I
don't know. Is she saying that maybe he bet on games through another person?
Maybe. That's my point. That's my point. So it's still even that.
There's no way you can stop that, man. How you gonna stop that, man?
But my point is, even this information, which I would agree, Judy, is that's detailed information. That certainly seems to insinuate one thing if you want to look at it that way. But I guarantee you, any lawyer worth their salt could tear that apart and give you 10 different reasons why that doesn't mean what it looks like it means. You know what I mean? So we got to see what he's, I don't know. We don't have any idea what his reasoning is.
Donnie said they could move the SEC championship to Las Vegas since they're going to bet on everything.
I wouldn't put that past them at all. I wouldn't put them past them at all.
Orange down is Oklahoma. Orange down is Oklahoma's symbol. No one's business. Yeah, well, I don't know whose business you're talking about, but once you get, me and Killer just talked about this. Once you get in a position that John Mateer's in, man, your privacy becomes probably null and void. You don't have any privacy.
Yeah, you don't get any of that.
Especially as much money as you're making, it is hard to feel sorry for them.
I don't feel sorry for them one bit. I don't feel sorry for them not one single bit.
So exactly, y'all start with Illinois State, start the year, right?
Correct. Who, by the way, is a top 10 school from what I understand in their division.
Yeah. And people laugh about that shit until they almost get beat or get beat by those schools.
No, dude, I'm not. That's my point. That's my point. That could possibly be a disaster.
I remember the year Alabama won the national title in 2011. We were the defending national champions on our way to a repeat. And we played the defending national champions from Division I AA, Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
And they were leading us.
I remember that.
They were leading us. Going
in the third. Right?
Yeah, going late into the third quarter.
Yeah.
And it's 21-17. And we ended up making it look better in the fourth quarter, made it 38-21. And that's where Saban done his famous speech of they ran through us like shit through a tin horn.
Yeah.
We couldn't stop them. We couldn't stop them. Y'all get in here talking these teams down, and you get them pissed off, and they run through us like shit through a tin horn. We couldn't stop them. We couldn't.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. That is exactly my point. I'm laughing because
that damn wishbone, man.
Yeah, don't think for 1 second that doesn't. You better make sure you get your stuff together because they're not going to be.
Yeah,
they're going to be pretty decent.
If you're going to schedule a 1AA school, I know they call it FCS now or FBS or some shit.
FCS.
Let's call them 1AA because it's easier for me to remember. But if you're going to do that, schedule one that's really bad. Alabama got smart for that. We started scheduling Western Carolina and Tennessee.
Yeah.
If you're going to schedule those schools, make sure you schedule one that ain't ranked.
That's exactly my point. This team's not going to be, as small little pissant schools go, this one's going to be pretty good.
By the way, Georgia Southern did beat Nebraska a few years after that. But by that time, Georgia Southern had moved to Division I.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as
I remember that.
And they beat Florida. Georgia Southern beat Florida, too.
I remember that distinctly.
And Troy State here in Alabama, man, they're a G5 school, but they beat Missouri and Oklahoma State in back-to-back years.
Yeah.
So you got to watch those teams, man. They got something to prove.
Tommy, I'm glad you highlighted this. Tommy Tough Knuckles says, Texas fan did the digging. They scared as hell, laughing my ass off. Who the hell would even look up people's Venmos? How gay. Well, that's what I don't think some people understand. You don't have to do anything to look it up. You just open the app and you will automatically start seeing a feed of everyone in your contact list and their recent transactions. It's just there. You don't have to search for it. You don't have to do anything to find it. It's just right in front of your face. And unless you turn it off, it's going to show every time you send money to someone or receive money from someone, it will show that transaction to all of the shared contacts.
What would make a Texas person think to go look at someone's Venmo, though? I mean, that's pretty shady, man. That's pretty damn shady.
He's not, though. Imagine this. You're an Alabama fan. You just open up Venmo to send some money to your mom. And as you open it up, all of a sudden you see Jackson Arnold, sports betting, you know what I mean? You just automatically see Auburn's quarterback and it's some betting transactions. You didn't look for anything. It's just right there in front of your face.
Yeah, so that's what you probably have to, unless you're friends with John Mateer, it's not going to show up on your feed, is it?
Well, no, you have to have shared contacts.
Yeah, exactly.
But dude, Texas fans are they're everywhere. and they're right by each other. So there's a good chance that they're gonna have shared contacts, man.
I guarantee you, man, if I saw some shit about Auburn's quarterback doing that, I'd be screenshotting the hell
think about this. Think about this. You see the transaction. So you're gonna see the transaction of your contact, right? No matter who they're doing a transaction with, whether they're your contact or not. So you're gonna also see contacts that are not technically yours. They're you have a contact in common, and that's my point. Like if you just open up Venmo to go do a regular transaction, and all of a sudden you see your rival school's quarterback in the list who's got a distinct name, I'm sure ain't that many John Mateers out there, you know, especially ones that say sports gambling or whatever it said. I mean,
full disclosure here and being honest, straight up, man. If I was an Alabama fan, I saw an Auburn quarterback and it said he was gambling, I'd probably rat him out too.
Hell yes, you have a duty.
I'd be screenshotting the hell out of that shit.
You have a duty, man, to help your school in every way. You take that son of a bitch down.
But the joke might be on Texas. Someone might have set Texas up. That might be the inside joke. They're like, hey, watch this shit. We're going to put this on here, and these Texas people and these other rivals, they're going to fucking lose their shit.
Well, that's once again, when we start talking about you still don't know what's real, you know what I mean? But it sounds like Jackson Arnold lent credence to the allegation, at least that the transaction was real. But we don't know what the transaction was really for. Just because he said sports game, you just don't know. And again, I don't even care. It wasn't his team. I don't care. I'm sure though that the NCAA, or if Oklahoma finds out it's true, they're probably going to do something like suspend him for a couple of games, I would guess. Does that mean he's suspended for the Michigan game? What an effing nightmare if that's the case. Like, again, this sucks. I just hope it's BS, and I think there's a good chance that Mateer is telling the truth.
OU Center, Thunder OU Center, the most attending of attendees.
Thunder in the house.
Says long turds are stirring up shit because they're scared of John Mateer.
I think you're right, Thunder. When Thunder speaks, we all listen.
He said they don't like all that praise that Mateer's getting over Arch.
Don't laugh. That could very well be the case. Those boys in Austin, they have their view of themselves is very different from reality.
I'm like you though. I would definitely out of the gate. I mean, I use Cash App. I don't know if people can see my Cash App transactions. I don't remember when I signed up. If it said something like out of the gate, I'm pretty sure I probably put my shit on private because I don't want nobody seeing my shit. I don't care if I'm just purchasing Pepto-Bismol. It don't matter, man. I don't want nobody knowing.
Well, like I said, man, mine are private. Mine have always been private from the very first time that I saw it. They don't hide that from you when you open your account. It's a very clear decision that you need to make on whether or not you want to make your transactions private or not. And I didn't hesitate.
Fred Bagley said he still says it's Photoshop. Well, I would say that you might be right about being Photoshopped. The only thing is that John Mateer has come out and said it was a valid transaction. And it was just an inside joke.
And do we know for sure that he said that? I mean, or did we read that? Did somebody report that?
Yeah, the Seattle Times is where I was reading it from earlier.
I don't trust anything out of communist Seattle.
I knew he was going to say that. The city of love, the summer of love. Let's kill everybody. Let's everybody just take over the city and kill everybody.
Yeah, the propaganda of Seattle, communist Seattle. I'm not down.
Now, earlier in this comments up here, I forgot to click on it, but I can't see it now. But anyway, it was NIL Kabishi come in here and he said, What do you think he's saying
about? What is he saying about?
I don't know. think he thinks we stole his thunder or something because he's the one that told me about it. And he said he was going to do a live stream at 7:30, and I got on here and started one about 7:30 myself.
Well, I did not realize that's what was going on. But,
That'll teach you a lesson there, NIL Commission. Don't be giving away your nuggets. It's a fair game after that.
Sorry there, JJ. Yeah, I mean, listen, man. When it's all said and done, we're gonna find out pretty soon. Oklahoma's looking into it. I can't imagine it's gonna take very long to figure out whether this is BS or not.
John Richardson can take a play from Sharon Moore's playbook and just let him choose which games he's suspended.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at. I mean, I would hope that if they can do that for Sharon, you can do that for Mateer. If you just got to suspend him for a couple of games, suspend him on Illinois State, suspend him against Kent State, suspend him against Temple. But God, please have him playing against Michigan and Auburn. Those are those two games, man. I just can't. Both of those games, Auburn more so for me than Michigan, but starting off with a loss against a team that everybody's been largely expecting you to beat would be not good. I mean, that would be a bad start to the season. Mentally, that would take a lot to bounce back from. It's not the end of the world because I do think it's not conference play. So I do think if you can somehow right the ship and then go into the SEC and start winning in the SEC, then the Michigan game, that loss is, still sucks, but it's not nearly as bad. But if you beat Michigan, but you still then go in and Auburn comes to town, comes to your house, and the guy that you kicked out the front door because he wasn't good enough comes back into your house and lights it up in your backyard. Oh, man. I mean, that is going to be a bad day.
Yeah, that's not going to be a good look, especially in Norman.
No. And, this is because of Nagy's hiring and the way that they're running the purse strings now at Oklahoma, this recruiting cycle, if you're looking at it from a rankings perspective, not been that great. We don't have that many blue chippers. We just got one today, 5-star edge rusher out of IMG. But I promise you this, if we go in and shit the bed against Michigan and Auburn, and that just sets the tone for the rest of the season, I don't expect that we'll be holding on to the few, blue chippers that we got.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, I hate to admit this, but I've seen rankings, and I think USC is like in the top 3 as far as recruiting goes this year.
At number 2.
Yeah, I knew they was up there pretty high. I just ain't said nothing about it.
I mean, the thing is, a lot of folks are talking about how, a lot of these schools that are still recruiting and paying money based on the old system, there's a strong belief that schools, especially like USC, they're going to lose a lot of those commits because they're not going to be able to come through with the money that they're promising them.
Well, that's what happened a few years ago. They had a bunch of good recruits, and they were ranked in the top 5, and then the class just fell apart. People started leaving. So, I mean, nothing's ever set in stone. Even if you get them to sign, man, the next year they're going to leave. You have to re-recruit them again in their sophomore year.
I mean, I think I know what Nagy's doing in Oklahoma, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. It's a little nerve-wracking because it is a little different. They're gonna emphasize players on the line, the offensive line, the defensive line. They're gonna emphasize the quarterback, and that's where the big money is gonna get paid out. We lost out on a lot of wide receiver recruiting battles this year that we normally would have won our fair share, if not all of them. And it's because they're just not going to pay big money for wide receivers because in their estimation, they can get good wide receivers that are good enough that they don't have to pay big money for. And they're trying to save the big money for the high profile portal players and again, line of scrimmage and QB. And again, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but they better hope it works, man, because if it doesn't, it's going to be a lot of people saying, I told you this was a bad idea.
All right. Well, before I get out of here, because I'm going to go ahead and cut this one short tonight, what's your final verdict on this? What do you think is going to come out of this whole John Mateer situation?
I'm not going to lie. I don't like the fact that he's acknowledged that the transaction is real. I still think that we just don't know what the bet or what that transaction really was yet. So I'm thinking even if it was a legit thing, that it's probably a very minor type of a bet, nothing real official. And that at the end of the day, it's just a lot of much ado about nothing when it's all said and done. That's what I think.
Fred Bagley has an imperative question for you. This might need its own show. How are things looking for the Nagasaki egg rolls this year?
It's stout.
Of the Japanese American
coming in, dude, is stellar, just like always. I mean, these guys don't bring anything in but the cream of the crop. Nagasaki egg rolls are gonna be hard to beat, man. Hard to beat.
And that's an inside joke amongst all of us, just in case y'all want to see what an inside joke looks like. There it is.
Way too good for the likes of Tebow, I can promise you that. He will never, ever don the egg roll uniform.
That's another inside joke. Tebow, the explanation of that is an acronym. He's not talking about Tim Tebow. It's TBOW,
Oh, no.
the bitch out west. That being Lincoln Riley.
That's right. That bitch out west.
That's right. All right, bro. I appreciate you jumping on.
All right, man. Y'all be good. I'll see everybody.
All right. That was Killer Breeze, the ultimate Oklahoma roughneck that comes in and graces us with his great presence from time to time. Before I get out of here, does anybody else have any questions or comments that you want me to read out? If you want to, you can make a donation to the show, a little money dollar sign at the bottom. Click on that, then write your comment out, and then make sure before you hit the second click that you have wrote your comment out, so you get your money's worth. Your question will be pushed to the top above everybody else's and highlighted, and I'll read it out for you before I get out of here. I'm not going to be staying on much longer. NIL commish. How did your podcast go? Sooner JH travels in the house, and he has his badge. He's deputized, by the way. You'll see people in here with a badge, like Storm 4601, Killer Breeze, Fred Bagley, among others, have their badge. They're deputized here in the Outlaw Posse. They get a random Four Horsemen shout-out on the actual podcast, as well as possibly the comment of the day for $2.99 a month. That's 75 cents a week. It's a little join button over by the subscribe button, and you'll get your badge and be deputized. But if you can't do all that, do the big four, which are all absolutely free. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. Just let you know when I'm up and on there, and hit that bell too. But Sooner JH Travel says, I heard Arnold may not even be the starter for Auburn. Yeah, the rumor has it that Hugh Freeze actually asked for his defense to let up a little bit. That's just the rumor that I've been hearing. It may not be true. It may be true. But I don't know. I guess we'll find out really soon because the season is almost upon us. As you know, the AP poll came out today. It always comes out after the coaches poll. And about the same. It's about the same. Both polls have the same teams ranked about the same. So it ain't something that you really need to run through or really worry about. Both polls, I think, have the Texas Long Turds number one. Robert Bacon says that Jackson Arnold is a turnover machine. All right. With that, I'm going to get out of here. Well, and I already said like, share, comment, subscribe, right? KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.